Welcome to the Flora podcast, a place where we help you create a life you're excited about. Welcome back to the podcast. Today, we're going to talk about decluttering your goal list. If you're new to my channel, I'm Flora, minimalism mentor, simplification coach, and 7-time author. For over 25 years, I've been helping women like you align into a life that you are wildly obsessed with by helping you clear the 9 types of clutter, keeping you from a life that you love. What are those 9 types of clutter? I'm glad you asked. They are mental, spiritual, emotional, digital, financial, daily, body, process, and environmental clutter. My YouTube page is where I share environmental decluttering tips and tricks and videos. And here on the podcast, I share with you how to declutter the rest. Please subscribe and follow this feed so you get notified every time an episode is released. Today, we're going to talk about decluttering your goals. I know this is a little bit of a shocker coming from a coach, but I'm also a minimalism mentor. So I help you minimize all the stuff that is getting in the way. The more goals you have, the more you're spread thin. And when you're spread thin, your efforts are watered down, regardless of what your intention is and how focused you are at the beginning when you first write these goals down. This is so imperative, especially at this time of year. We're towards the end of March, beginning of April. People in January typically set goals and they're like, yes, I'm all motivated. Let's do this. Woo! And by this time in the year, a lot of people have forgotten about the goals that they've set. And another thing is a lot of people are just going back into their old habits. And we don't want that. This year is the year that you're going to, as we talked about in the last episode, we're going to clear the stuff that's getting in the way of your ability to accomplish the goals that you set. After last week's podcast, I got a bunch of emails saying that you've made too many goals and you're not quite sure how to pare them down. So today's episode, I'm going to help you pare down your goals. There's a quote that I want to share with you that I also shared in my book, The 1 Degree Shift. And I quote, this is by Stephen Covey. He says, "What is one thing you can do every day to make the biggest impact in your life?" I'm going to read that again. What is one thing you can do every day to make the biggest impact in your life? Now, apply that to this year. What's one thing that you could do that would make the biggest impact of this next year for you? If you attended my yearly workshop, you know that I had you pick out or identify the season of life that you're in. I had you identify your top 3 priorities. Many of you shared those with me. It was health, relationships, and money. So if you could pick one thing in each of those categories, what's one thing that would make the biggest impact in your health? That is your yearly goal. It could be quitting sugar. It could be walking 10,000 steps every day. It could be doing yoga every day. Your relationships, it could be reach out to one person you love every day. Tell them you love them. Tell them you care about them. For your money, it could be reading a financial book every week. It could be getting a financial coach. It could be taking a finance class. What's one thing you can do that would make the biggest impact on your year? The super cool thing about doing this is that all the bullshit falls away. All the excuses fall away because it's one thing in those 3 areas. That's it. Quitting sugar. That's it. Or walking 10,000 steps. That's it. It's reading your financial book. It's talking to someone that you love. It's whatever it is, whatever your goals are or your priorities, and you pick one thing for each one of those priorities, you are setting yourself up for success. You are setting yourself up to achieve the things this year that you actually set out to achieve. Ask yourself, what are my top 3 priorities? You wrote them down if you've been following me and you've been listening to this podcast or watching this or listening to this on YouTube. You've already written them down somewhere. If you don't know, go back. I'll put the link in the show notes. Do that workshop that we did in January and identify the season of life that you're in, identify your top 3 priorities, and then pick one thing from each priority to focus on this year. For health, it could be sleeping 8 hours or 9 hours at night. You get to decide what it is you're going to focus on. And you're going to be absolutely shocked and amazed and excited and delighted at how much of an impact this makes on your life. This is why my book, The 1 Degree Shift, talks about how doing this work, you truly are discovering the simplicity of lasting change. It's focusing on less, not focusing on more. If you want my help with this, click the link in the show notes that says Let's Connect. Fill out that application that just gives me some more information about who you are, what you're doing, what you're working on, and let's talk. Let's continue this conversation and support each other. If you're listening to this on YouTube, I invite you to share your experiences with decluttering your goals in the comments below. And if you're listening to this on any podcast streaming service, email me at flora@florasage.com to share your comments. If you found today's episode helpful, please subscribe, share with your friends, and please leave a review. Your support helps this podcast reach more people looking to declutter their lives and align into a life that they are, of course, wildly obsessed with. I hope this serves you today. And remember, all it takes is a clear vision of what you want and the willingness to take one small shift in that direction daily to align into a life that you absolutely love. I love you, and I will see you in the next episode. All links mentioned are in today's show notes.